The Warhammer 40k universe is a nightmare without end, a place where hope flickers like a dying candle in a howling storm. There are many horrors that stalk its battlefields. The Xenos monstrosities that tear apart civilizations, ancient empires that have risen and fallen with the weight of eons, and endless wars that grind entire star systems into dust. Nothing embodies the sheer, unrelenting madness of this universe more than the demons of chaos. They are not simply monsters, not creatures bound by flesh and bone, but living manifestations of emotion, madness, and corruption. To call them predators is to misunderstand their nature. They do not kill because they must. They kill because they are the concept of killing itself made manifest. They exist only to bring suffering, to reshape reality itself in the image of their twisted masters, and to drag entire civilizations screaming into the depths of the warp. Some lurk at the edges of reality, waiting for a moment of weakness, for a crack in the veil between the material and the immaterial. Others stride openly across the battlefields of the galaxy, howling with rage, gorging themselves on despair, and carving their names into history with fire and ruin. And then there are the rare and terrible beings who do not simply fight wars, but rewrite the very laws of existence, twisting fate, reshaping history, and bending the universe to their own dark whims. To stand against them is not to fight for victory, because there is no victory against chaos. There is only survival, if one is lucky. The rest are lost, body and soul, to the endless hunger of the warp. Today, we will walk through the pantheon of demonic terror, exploring their origins, their greatest feats, and the stories in which they have left their mark. The Blood God's Butchers. Khorne is war. Khorne is blood. To even think of what Khorne stands, one must also remember slaughter and unrelenting battle. His demons are not soldiers, for soldiers fight with tactics and discipline. These creatures are fury given form, beings that know only one thing, the ecstasy of violence. They do not retreat, they do not negotiate, and they do not hesitate. To them, battle is sacred, and every foe slain is an offering to their blood-drenched god. Towering above them all is Angron, the Red Angel. Once he was a Primarch, a tragic figure, a warrior betrayed by fate. But those days are gone. Now he is a nightmare made flesh, a demon prince whose rage defies understanding. The Imperium believed no single entity could threaten them on the battlefield, that no one creature could stand against an army of the Imperium's finest. But Angron shattered that illusion. The Grey Knights, warriors specifically trained to battle the forces of chaos, thought themselves immune to fear. Angron proved them wrong. He tore through their strike force like a hurricane through dry leaves, breaking their lines, ripping apart their champions, and leaving behind only ruin. And yet, Angron is not the most infamous of Khorne's demons. That title belongs to Skarbrand, the greatest of the bloodthirsters. There was a time when Skarbrand stood as Khorne's most favored general, a being of unparalleled carnage. But pride is a dangerous thing, even in the eyes of the Blood God. In his arrogance, Skarbrand believed himself strong enough to challenge his master. Following the poisonous lies whispered into his ears by Tzeentch, he struck his master's back while it was turned to him. This did nothing but add a chink to Khorne's armor, and since Khorne has always been about combat without schemes, Skarbrand's attempt was ill-received, and it left his sire utterly disgusted and extremely disappointed. The punishment was swift and brutal. Khorne did not slay him, but broke him, stripping him of his reason, leaving behind nothing but mindless, undying rage. Now, Skarbrand rampages across the stars, an engine of destruction that never tires, never falters, never thinks, only kills. His fury is so immense that it once tore open the very fabric of real space, unleashing a demonic invasion unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. But still, even among the greatest of Khorne's demons, Ka'Bandha stands as a legend. The Angel's Bane, this bloodthirster's name is whispered in fear, for he was the only one who broke the leg of Sanguinius, the angelic primarch of the Blood Angels. In a battle that would echo through history, Ka'Bandha did not merely wound his foe. He inflicted a psychic scar so deep that it still lingers today. It was his actions that cursed the Blood Angels with the Black Rage, a madness that ensures they relive Sanguinius's death over and over until their minds shatter. A single duel, a single moment of violence, changed the fate of an entire legion for eternity. Tzeentch's Demons. Where Khorne revels in blood, Tzeentch plays a different game. His demons do not seek war for war's sake. They weave plots that span millennia, games so intricate that even their own allies cannot see the full picture. To fight Tzeentch's forces is to fight shadows, illusions, and schemes that were set in motion long before one was even born. At the heart of these machinations stands Magnus the Red, the Crimson King, the greatest sorcerer the galaxy has ever known. Once he sought knowledge above all else. Now he is knowledge made flesh. A being so powerful, he nearly reached the Emperor's throne room itself during the Siege of Terra. When the Imperium's greatest defenses fell before him, it seemed as though nothing could stop him. And yet, Magnus's greatest victories do not lie in battle. He has rewritten the fates of entire civilizations, bending them to Tzeentch's grand design before they ever even realized they had lost. But even Magnus does not know all that Tzeentch's realm conceals. That honor belongs to Kairos Fateweaver, the two-headed oracle of chaos. One head sees the past, the other sees the future, and between them, they whisper truths and lies in equal measure. Even the chaos gods themselves rely on Kairos' counsel, for he alone glimpses what even they cannot see. There are tales of him deceiving gods, of him trapping a Satan shard, a fragment of a Necron god, in an endless loop of lies and riddles until it bent to his will. Yet, for all the power of Tzeentch's greatest sorcerers, the true wild card in his arsenal is a changeling. This demon is deception incarnate, capable of taking any form, slipping unnoticed into the highest halls of power. There are whispers that it once walked among the high lords of Terra, disguised so perfectly that even the Imperium's mightiest psychers failed to detect its presence. Some say it has even taken the form of Rabu Guilliman himself, issuing false commands in the Imperium's name. The Lords of Decay, Nurgle's Demons. While Tzeentch reshapes fate and Khorne drenches worlds in blood, Nurgle plays a different game. He does not destroy, he waits. His demons do not kill with rage, but with inevitability. Where Nurgle walks, life does not end in fire and death, but in slow, creeping rot. His champions are walking plagues, spreading disease not just of the flesh, but of the soul. The greatest of them all is Mortarion, the Death Lord. His presence alone is enough to poison entire planets, turning once thriving worlds into toxic graveyards before the first battle has even begun. Not even the mighty Custodes, the Emperor's personal guard, have proven immune to his pestilence. Yet, Mortarion is not Nurgle's most insidious horror. That title belongs to Kugoth Plaguefather, a being who does not simply spread disease, he creates it. He has crafted plagues so vile that even the Tyranids, a species that adapts to anything, could not consume them. His experiments never end, his hunger to spread filth never satisfied. The Seducers and Butchers, Slaanesh's Demons. Slaanesh is a whisper in the dark, the lure of forbidden power. Where others destroy, Slaanesh entices. His greatest champion, Fulgrim, was once a proud Primarch. Now he is a being of perfect, horrifying beauty, reveling in the slaughter of his own kin. Among Slaanesh's true demons, none are more feared than Shalaxi Hellbane, the hunter of champions. It has slain bloodthirsters, grey knights, even primarchs, treating battle as an art form, an endless, sadistic game. Shalaxi Hellbane is unlike any other demon in the service of Slaanesh. While most of the Dark Prince's creations revel in excess and indulgence, Shalaxi's purpose is singular: to humiliate and annihilate those who think themselves untouchable. It is a paradox, a creature of ultimate pleasure that exists to ruin those who seek power above all else. Slaanesh crafted Shalaxi specifically to hunt and destroy the champions of rival gods, sending it to face bloodthirsters, plague hulks, and lords of change in battles that are as much performances as they are executions. In battle, it does not charge like Khorne's beasts, nor does it deceive like Tzeentch's tricksters. It dances. A predator in the form of a living mirage. Entire armies have opened fire upon it, only for Shalaxi to slip through their attacks like silk through fingers. Those lucky enough to meet its gaze do not die instantly. They are undone, their minds shattered by a beauty too perfect, a horror too sublime. Even warriors trained to resist chaos have been brought to their knees by its whispers, surrendering not to pain, but to the promise of something greater, something only Slaanesh can provide. Yet, for all of Shalaxi's grace, Fulgrim remains the true master of excess. Once he was a Primarch, the embodiment of perfection, a warrior and an artist both. But his vanity became his downfall, and in his pursuit of ultimate beauty, he forsook his own soul. Now he is something more than mortal, more than demon. He is pleasure itself, wrapped in flesh and steel. His voice alone can enthrall, his presence can drive men to madness, and his blade, forged from the essence of a dying god, drinks deep from the souls of the fallen. Fulgrim does not fight wars for conquest. He fights because he enjoys it. His battles are not struggles, but performances, each death a brushstroke in a masterpiece only he can see. Among the demons of Slaanesh, none are his equal, and among the warriors of the galaxy, none can face him and emerge unchanged. The Dark Master, Be'lakor and the Untamed Chaos. While the demons of the Chaos Gods wage war in the names of their patrons, there is one who bows to none. Be'lakor, the First Damned, is Chaos Unchained, a being who once stood above all other demons, ruling over the forces of the warp before the gods turned against him. Be'lakor's story is one of ambition and betrayal. He was not gifted his power, he took it, carving out his place as the first demon prince before even the Primarchs had set foot upon the battlefields of the galaxy. At his height, he was a king without equal, leading chaos itself as its undisputed master. But the gods are jealous creatures, and they do not suffer rivals lightly. Seeing Be'lakor's rising influence, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh each turned against him, stripping him of their favor and ensuring that he would never hold their power in full again. Yet, Be'lakor did not die. He endured. Though the gods denied him an empire, they could not erase his knowledge, nor could they break his will. Time and time again, he has returned, whispering in the ears of warlords, manipulating champions of chaos, and guiding entire crusades, not for the gods, but for himself. Abaddon the Despoiler, the greatest mortal champion of chaos, believes himself the architect of the Black Crusades. But, in truth, Be'lakor's influence lingers behind every shadow. His hand has shaped the tides of war from the beginning, and though he no longer wears a crown, he remains a dark hand pulling the strings. What makes Be'lakor uniquely dangerous is that he is not bound to any one god. Where Khorne's demons are shackled by bloodlust and Tzeentch's servants by their endless schemes, Be'lakor moves freely. his goals known only to himself. He does not serve, he plots. He does not conquer, he corrupts. And while the champions of chaos wage war in the name of their gods, Belakar watches, waiting for the moment when he might rise once more. There is a reason why even the greatest demons fear him. He was the first, and if his plans ever succeed, he may well be the last. The Daemons Unchained. For all their power, for all their influence, the demons of the four gods are not the only horrors that lurk in the warp. There are things older than the Imperium, older than the Eldar, things that should not exist, and yet do. These beings are not bound by the rules of chaos, nor do they serve a master. They are free, and that makes them something even worse. Some speak of enslavers, creatures that do not fight, but consume, turning entire populations into gateways through which their kind might pour into the material world. Others whispered of nameless beasts, things that exist in the void between reality and madness, appearing only when the fabric of space itself begins to unravel. And then there are the forgotten gods, beings that predate even chaos itself. Their names lost to time, their influence felt only in the lingering shadows of the darkest corners of the galaxy. These demons do not wage war. They do not seek glory. They do not answer to any deity or champion. They simply exist. And that alone is enough to drive even the most hardened warriors to despair. Each Chaos God has its own ranking system, but the general structure of demon hierarchy follows a similar pattern across all four of the Dark Gods. The stronger the demon, the closer it is to its god's will, and the more reality itself bends around its presence. At the pinnacle of the demon hierarchy stand the Greater Daemons, the most powerful servants of the respective gods. These beings are extensions of their god's will, each an embodiment of their patron's nature, capable of reshaping reality through sheer presence alone. They act as generals, champions, and avatar of their chaos gods, leading the demonic hordes into battle and carrying out their master's will. Each of the four chaos gods has its own form of greater demon. Khorne, bloodthirsters. Demon generals of war. Tzeentch, lords of change. Masters of sorcery and deception. Nurgle, great unclean ones. Walking plagues, bringers of decay. Slaanesh, keepers of secrets. Twisted, seductive lords of excess. Greater demons are more than just servants of their gods. They are pieces of their gods made flesh. Their mere presence distorting reality and twisting it into a nightmarish reflection of their master's domain. Some greater demons have grown so powerful that they have become myths in their own right. The infamous Ateos Ralkaris, a lord of change so old and cunning that even Kairos Fateweaver refuses to speak to him, is said to know the final fate of the galaxy itself. His schemes have led to the rise and fall of civilizations without a single spell cast in anger. Then there's Ongrath the Unbound, the greatest of all bloodthirsters, a creature so filled with rage that even Skarbrand is a mere shadow of his fury. Okay, I take that back. Skarbrand is nothing but a mindless thrall filled with nothing but rage and war. But Ongrath is pretty badass too. His arrival on the battlefield does not herald victory or defeat, it heralds obliteration. Planets have been rendered lifeless wastelands simply because the Imperium refused to face him head-on. For each god, there are demons who stand above the rest, true paragons of their patron's will. But even among the greater demons, there is ambition and power shifts like the tides of the warp. The greater demons are not exactly unique in a sense, although there are quite a few who actually stand out a lot. Regardless, it should be noted that there are many of them, some that have been mentioned here, each with its own name, personality, and power. Some have risen to such legendary status that they have become icons of the warp itself. Greater Demons command immense power and require massive warp breaches to manifest in the material realm. When they do, it takes entire armies of Psykers, called Drogo's Boys, the Grey Knights, or other extreme measures to banish them. Just because their number in this list, it doesn't mean they are lesser than the Greater Demons. Each Demon Prince is a being who was once mortal, but was granted the right to ascend to demonhood through sheer devotion, conquest, or corruption. Unlike Greater Demons, who were born of the warp, Demon Princes were once men, Xenos, or even Primarchs who were rewarded for their service. Demon Princes are a paradox, beings that were once mortal but now wield the power of the warp itself. Unlike Greater Demons, they retain memories of their former lives, and many still hold grudges, vendettas, and desires that drive them to reshape reality in their own twisted image. One of the most infamous is Lorgar, once a Primarch of the Word-Bearers, now a Demon Prince of Chaos Undivided. Unlike most Demon Princes who revel in their new existence, Lorgar is different. He does not revel in war like Angron, nor does he weave schemes like Magnus. He watches, silent, contemplative, waiting for the moment when he will rise and claim the power he believes is his by right. Demon Princes are one step below Greater Demons in power, but they are often more dangerous because they retain their intelligence, their ambitions, and their memories from mortal life. Some act as warlords, leading black crusades and demonic incursions, while others remain in the warp, plotting their next move. Demon Princes often lead legions of demons, mortal cultists, and corrupted Astartes, acting as warlords of chaos. Their greatest advantage is the fact that they can actually manifest in the material world more easily than Greater Demons, but still require significant warp disturbances to do so. Some Demon Princes regret their ascension, but unfortunately, there is no escape from chaos, even for those who serve it. Beneath the Greater Demons and Demon Princes are Heralds and Champions, beings who are not yet fully ascended, but are still far beyond their lesser demons that swarm the battlefield. These are often favored warriors, sorcerers, or lieutenants of the gods, leading lesser demons into battle and carrying out specific commands. Herald serves as the messengers of chaos, the intermediaries between their dark patrons and the legions of lesser demons who march at their command. Though they do not possess the overwhelming power of Greater Demons or Demon Princes, they wield influence far beyond their stature. One of the most feared heralds is Epidemus, the Talisman of Nurgle, one of Grandfather Nurgle's 7 proctors of pestilence. He does not fight with rage or sorcery, he does not lead with inspiring words. Instead, he counts, making him a living record of every disease, every plague, and every soul claimed by Nurgle's embrace. It is said that when Epidemus takes the field, the very laws of nature collapse. Wounds will not heal, flesh sloughs from bone, and the dead rise not as demons, but as rotting husks filled with endless, shivering laughter. Heralds do not simply lead, they embody. A Herald of Khorne is more than a warrior. He is an executioner whose axe never dulls, and a Herald of Tzeentch is not a mere sorcerer. He is a walking paradox, whose very presence shifts probability itself. Each god has its own form of herald. Khorne's heralds are ferocious warriors that ride juggernauts, wielding demon weapons and leading bloodletters in battle. Heralds of Tzeentch are sorcerers, shaping fate, casting warp fire, warping reality with their mere words. The heralds of Nurgle are plague bearers, who spread decay and rot across worlds, leading hordes of plague bearers into war. And Slaanesh, whose heralds are seductive tormentors, dancing across battlefields, slaughtering their foes in blissful agony. Heralds do not rule, but they command respect, acting as general for the armies of chaos. They are stronger than normal demons, but are still below demon princes in the grand hierarchy. Lesser demons are the lifeblood of chaos's armies. Though individually weak compared to the monstrous superiors, their sheer numbers and unrelenting will make them a terrifying force. The Imperium has learned this the hard way. In the book Pandarax, during the battle for the titular planet, the Imperial defenders believed their walls would hold. They had artillery, they had armor, they had space marines. But then the air turned thick with warp energy, and bloodletters began to materialize. They did not come alone. 10,000 of them surged forth, their blades cutting through ceramite like parchment. The fortress was held for 3 days, even when they should have been able to get by for 3 years. Lesser demons make up the bulk of Chaos's forces, acting as foot soldiers, shock troops, and mindless beasts that overwhelm their enemies through sheer numbers and ferocity. Each god has its own lesser demons, each reflecting the nature of their master. Lesser demons are mindless in their devotion, often forming massive swarms to overwhelm Imperial Guardsmen, Space Marines, and Xenos forces by their sheer numbers alone. Beyond the humanoid demons, there exist other horrors, beasts, machines, and nightmarish creatures that serve the gods in their specific roles. For Khorne's legions, it's the Fleshhounds, warp-born hunting beasts, and the Soul Grinders, mechanized demon engines. Tzeentch's legion has the Flames of Tzeentch, living fire creatures, Screamers, flying warp predators. Nurgles are the beasts of Nurgle, plague-spreading monstrosities, and the rot flies, giant, disease-ridden insects. For Slaanesh, they have the fiends of Slaanesh, distorted, nightmarish predators, and the Seekers, swift, cavalry-like demons. These creatures often serve alongside lesser demons, acting as specialized war beasts that bring unique threats to the battlefields. There exist demons that do not fit neatly within the hierarchy, beings who serve no god or who have fallen out of favor. These include Balakor, the first demon prince, a being who once ruled over all of chaos before being cast down, the nameless warp entities, the enslavers. These beings are wild cards, unpredictable forces that do not obey the standard rules of chaos. The hierarchy of demons is not static, it is an internal war. Demons rise and fall, some gaining favor and becoming demon princes, others being cast into oblivion. Even the most powerful demons know that their position is never secure, because in the realms of chaos, power is the only law that matters. What makes demons truly terrifying is not their strength nor their sheer numbers, nor even the madness they bring in their wake. It is their immortality. The horror of chaos is not that it kills, it is that it never stops killing. Most threats can be defeated. Empires crumble, armies perish, and even the greatest of warriors must one day fall. But demons? They do not die. Not in any way that matters. You can cut them down, burn their flesh, shatter their bones, but you cannot end them. The moment they are struck down, they do not truly die. They are merely banished, cast back into the warp where they will wait, watching, whispering, until the moment comes when they can step into reality again. Some demons have been killed thousands of times. Some have fought in the same war across different millennia, facing the descendants of those who once thought they had defeated them. And each time they return, they remember. They remember who defied them. They remember who wounded them. And they do not forget. There is no victory against chaos. To fight chaos is to fight a war that can never be won. The Imperium believes that with enough fire, enough faith, it can hold the darkness at bay. But every demon slain is nothing more than a momentary setback. The Imperium knows this. It must know this, for it has fought the same battles over and over against the same enemies, against foes who should have died ages ago. Take Skarbrand, the fallen bloodthirster. He was cast down, his wings torn to shreds, his mind stripped of reason, and yet he still fights. He has been bested on the battlefield countless times, shattered by champions of the Emperor, banished by Grey Knights, buried beneath the rubble of ruined cities. And yet he always returns, his fury greater than before, because he cannot die, not truly, because there is no death for those who belong to the warp. Even the greatest warriors of the Imperium, those who have trained their entire lives to slay demons, know the truth. The Grey Knights, the Emperors chosen against the forces of chaos, are warriors bred for war against the warp itself. Their blades are forged in rituals older than the Imperium, their bodies and minds shielded from corruption. And yet, even they know that no demon they slay is truly gone. At best, they can delay the inevitable. At worst, they become another tally mark in Chaos's eternal ledger. There are entire worlds that have fought the same demons for generations. Grandfathers, fathers, sons, all spilling their blood against the same unholy monsters that refuse to die. The Battle of Vrax, a war that lasted for over 17 years, saw the same demons rise and fall over and over, reaping a harvest of lives only to return once more. No mortal could endure such endless war, but demons, they thrive on it. Every death, every ounce of suffering feeds them, makes them stronger. To kill a demon is to delay its hunger, nothing more. For mortals, even the most monstrous death is an end, a finality. Even the longest-lived beings, the Necrons, the Eldar, know that their existence will one day reach its conclusion. They fear death because it is the great unknown, the abyss from which none return. Demons do not have that luxury. They do not know peace, they do not know rest. They are eternal hunger, minds and souls that never stop, never cease, never fade. Some revel in this, existing only to feed their endless desire for blood, pleasure, change, or decay. But others suffer. Belakor, the first demon prince, once stood at the pinnacle of Chaos's favor. He ruled, not as a servant, but as a master. But now, he is bound by his own immortality, cast into the shadow, denied the throne he once held. He cannot die. He cannot move forward. He exists, but only as a reminder of what he once was. His agony is eternal. Cairo's Fate Weaver, the two-headed oracle of Tzeentch, is cursed with the knowledge of all that has been and all that will be. He is utterly powerless to change his own fate. He knows the moment of his own banishments. He knows when he will rise again. And he knows that no matter what he does, no matter how much power he accumulates, he will never escape his role as Tzeentch's plaything. Immortality, for some demons, is a cage without walls, a prison where the torment never ends. Even Fulgrim, the Primarch turned demon of Slaanesh, has become something more and less than he once was. He sought perfection, sought ascendancy beyond mortality, and he found it. But at what cost? His soul is no longer his own. His pleasure is now his prison. His endless indulgence, his curse. He cannot stop. He cannot change. He will always hunger for more, and it will never be enough. There is no salvation in the warp. There is no end. The most insidious horror of demonic immortality is memory. Most mortals are blessed with forgetfulness. Given enough time, even the greatest tragedies fade. But demons? They do not forget. They cannot. The Changeling, a master of deception, has walked the halls of the Imperium, of the Eldar craft worlds, and even among the Necron dynasties. It is whispered into the ears of kings, of warlords, of heroes and villains alike, and it remembers each and every one, every promise made, every secret learned, every betrayal it has sown. It waits. It does not need to rush. Time means nothing to demons. They can wait 1,000 years for the perfect moment, and when that moment comes, they will be exactly where they need to be. Khorne's bloodthirsters remember every battle, every warrior who has ever dared to stand against them. Some mortals believe they have survived encounters with demons because they were strong enough, fast enough, brave enough. They are wrong. They were spared. Because the Blood God loves nothing more than a worthy challenge, and the next time they meet, it will not be a battle. It will be a reckoning. To be marked by chaos is to be marked forever. The Imperium teaches that the only way to be free of chaos is through death, but even that is a lie, because demons do not only feast on the living, they consume the dead. The souls of those who fall to chaos are not granted the peace of the Emperor's light. They do not fade into nothingness. They burn forever in the warp, their agony a sweet nectar to the gods they tried to resist. Some become part of the demons themselves, merged into the horrors that once tormented them, their minds screaming from within as their bodies are twisted into new, nightmarish forms. And even if a demon is shattered, even if every ounce of its essence is burned away, even if it is cast into the abyss never to return, something will take its place. Because chaos is eternal. It is not bound by time, nor space, nor the laws of the material realm. It is an idea, a force that cannot be destroyed. Even the greatest warriors of the Imperium, the most fanatic purgers of the Inquisition, those who have devoted their entire lives to fighting the demonic, know this one terrifying truth. You can kill a demon, but you can never destroy it. Demons are not mere creatures in the Warhammer 40k universe. They are ideas given form, concepts so powerful that they have broken free from the minds of mortals and taken on flesh and hunger. They are rage without limit, disease without cure, deceit without end, and desire without satisfaction. They are nightmares that lurk in the dark, the whispers at the edge of sanity, the shadows that loom over the greatest of empires. The Imperium believes that it can banish them, that with fire and steel it can hold back the tide. But chaos is not something that can be destroyed. It is eternal. It was there before the first man set foot among the stars, and it will be there long after the last light of the galaxy has flickered out. Empires rise and fall. Heroes live and die. Worlds burn and civilizations are ground into dust. But chaos remains. It is patient. It is watching. And no matter how many demons are slain, they will always return. Because in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and chaos always wins.